Since the 90s, I was a fan of wrestlers, like Hulk Hogan and The Ultimate Warrior, as well as The Undertaker. Later on, from around 1998, my all-time favorite wrestler, with The Undertaker coming second, would become Kane. I was introduced to the character by the World Wrestling Federation game, WWF Warzone. In my point of view at the time, Kane was almost in every way a duplicate of The Undertaker, with the exception of appearance. But as time passed, as I watched the character on television, I began to see there was a lot more to Kane than being almost a mirror image to his brother. The promo I saw on the Best of Survivor Series VHS gave me a new perspective of how horrifying and intimidating Kane was. The close-up shot of Kane during a promo with the eerie red lightning, how his visage showed that underneath the mask was nothing but an empty void. The mask itself showed a terrifying appearance, along with its chaotic red painting and black claw-marked stripes. While the WWE production music Desola, a variation of the song Lost Souls by Bliss, played. I'll be covering various years of the Big Red Machine, played by the future mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, Glenn Jacobs, starting with his first year in 1997. But before we cover the debut of the Devil's Favorite Demon, we must look further back at the career of his brother, The Undertaker, and how his tale would forge the hellish story of Kane.
Every time you look around, you're going to see your brother behind you. Every time you close your eyes to go to sleep, you're going to remember that terrible night, the fire. Oh yes, the fire. Undertaker, welcome to your worst nightmare.
The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, introduced The Undertaker to the World Wrestling Federation at the 1990 Survivor Series. A Western mortician character, seemingly impervious to pain and possessing supernatural powers. Managed at the time by Brother Love, The Undertaker took part of the $1 Million team. Despite being counted out, The Undertaker along with his teammates would be victorious over the Dream Team. Since then, Brother Love would introduce The Undertaker to Paul Bearer, who would become the longtime manager of The Phenom. Undertaker would go on to forge his undefeated WrestleMania streak by defeating Jimmy Superfly Snuka, win the WWE Championship from Hulk Hogan at the 1991 Survivor Series, turning face and defeating Jake the Snake Roberts at the following WrestleMania in 1992, and feuding with the likes of Kamala, Yokozuna, King Kong Bundy, Bret the Hitman Hart, Diesel, and even a fake Undertaker doppelganger at SummerSlam 1994. The Dead Man would feud with the debuting Mankind, a masked, manic character who seemed to enjoy pain. The Undertaker would face Mankind at the 1996 King of the Ring. During the match, Paul Bearer accidentally hit The Undertaker with the urn, giving Mankind the victory. There was some speculation that Paul Bearer deliberately hit The Undertaker with the urn. The two would face each other at SummerSlam 96 in the first ever Boiler Room Brawl, with the goal being to reach the ring from the Boiler Room and to take the urn from Paul Bearer. The Undertaker appeared to have the victory, but Paul Bearer refused to hand over the urn, betraying him and giving Mankind the victory, thus ending his longtime friendship with The Undertaker. Undertaker and Mankind would continue their feud, with Undertaker becoming victorious in the first ever Buried Alive match at Buried Alive in Your House, then at the 1996 Survivor Series. It was at this time The Undertaker would debut his Lord of Darkness persona. Afterward, The Undertaker would go on to win the WWE Championship from Psycho Sid at WrestleMania 13 in 1997. The week after WrestleMania, Paul Bearer begged The Undertaker for forgiveness, wanting to stand by his side once again, to which The Undertaker refused. Mankind wounded The Undertaker by blasting the Dead Man with a fireball. The two would face each other for the WWE Championship at Revenge of the Taker in Your House, where not only Undertaker retained the championship, but gained retribution by blasting Paul Bearer with a fireball. Around May of 1997, Paul Bearer threatened The Undertaker with the intention of revealing the Phenom's darkest secret should he refuse to join him. With no other choice, Undertaker sided with his treacherous manager. It is around this point that Paul Bearer dropped the makeup he used since his debut for a more normal appearance with brown hair. Despite the threat of revealing his secret, The Undertaker had lost patience and turned against his manager after weeks of harassing and nagging him constantly. Paul Bearer would reveal the secret that he had known The Undertaker prior to his debut in 1991, that Paul Bearer knew his family, and that Undertaker had a younger brother, Kane. Paul Bearer then stated that The Undertaker's family had suffered a tragedy when the family home was destroyed by a fire, resulting in the deaths of his parents. Paul Bearer would then state that the fire was caused by The Undertaker himself, shouting to him by calling him a murderer. Later at the same night, The Undertaker explains his side of the story, denying Paul Bearer's accusations and that his brother Kane was a pyromaniac, that his brother had been the one who set the home on fire instead of Undertaker. Undertaker would confront Paul Bearer afterward on the same night, threatening to kill him if he didn't tell the truth, to which Paul proves his statement came from Kane himself. Paul Bearer stated that Kane was alive, surviving the fire that destroyed his home and family. Sometime afterward, The Undertaker would lose the WWE Championship to Bret Hart at SummerSlam due to an inverted chair shot from Shawn Michaels, who was the special guest referee for the match, turning Shawn heel and setting up a feud between the two. Coinciding with Undertaker's feud with the Heartbreak Kid, Paul Bearer stated that Kane has been waiting for 20 years for revenge, suffering severe burns due to the fire that burned down the family home, claiming that he was coming for a number of occasions. As Paul Bearer would not appear for some time afterward, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels would fight to a no contest at Ground Zero in your house. Undertaker and Shawn Michaels would face each other again in the first ever Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood in your house, with the winner facing the WWE Champion at Survivor Series. The Phenom delivered a chair shot to Michaels, much like Shawn did to Undertaker at SummerSlam. As Undertaker prepared to deliver the tombstone, the lights went out, and coming to the ring, columns of Hellfire in the background was not only Paul Bearer, but a one-eyed individual clad in chaotic red and black attire, and a haunting leather mask with the same coloring and pattern. Vince McMahon, who was part of the commentator team at the time, spoke the words that would live on in history. "That's gotta be Kane. That's gotta be Kane." Almost a mirror image of The Undertaker, the Big Red Machine ripped off the door of the cell, knocked out the referee and confronted his brother, as if stepping into hell itself. As the brothers looked eye to eye for the first time in years, Kane would perform his signature pyro summoning taunt before delivering a tombstone piledriver to The Undertaker, giving Shawn Michaels the victory. As Jim Ross stated that Shawn had defeated The Undertaker, Vince McMahon corrected him by stating Kane has defeated The Undertaker. And now for a quick fun facts interval! Kane's attire was designed as a means of compensating the character's shattered ego by assuming a superhero-like appearance. The original name for the character was Inferno, but was dropped for the name Kane, a name that was originally taken from Undertaker's former alias, Kane the Undertaker, before having the name shortened prior to his Survivor Series 1990 debut. An unused idea was to have Kane use a red and black cape much like The Undertaker for his entrances, but the idea was scrapped due to the cape being a fire hazard. The cape was only used in non-televised house shows and photo shots prior to his debut. Kane's trademark pyro summoning taunt was based on Undertaker's Let There Be Light taunt, but throwing them down as if to summon columns of fire from the turnbuckle posts. The next night on Raw, after Kane disposed of future legendary tag team the Hardy Boys with a double chokeslam, Paul Bearer stated that he and Kane will walk through the WWE, destroying every wrestler in Kane's path until they meet The Undertaker himself. The Undertaker, however, vowed to never fight his own flesh and blood, and stood steadfast with his promise. Kane wore his trademark leather mask in order to hide the wounds that he had suffered during the tragic fire, as those around him laughed at him because of his facial scars. Kane would live up to Paul Bearer's declaration as the devil's favorite demon would target several superstars. Dude Love, who was one of the free faces of Mick Foley, who previously competed as the personalities of Cactus Jack and Mankind, was one of Kane's victims, as he was chokeslammed into the steel ramp twice. This would set up not only the return of Mankind, but a match between the two of them at Survivor Series. Despite being victorious against The Undertaker twice in the past, Mankind did not have the same luck with Kane, as the Big Red Machine defeated him in his in-ring debut with a tombstone piledriver. And now for another fun fact interval! The match between Kane and Mankind at Survivor Series 1997 was done completely under red lightning, has done for most of Kane's previous appearances, a concept that was dropped sometime later, only used for some of the segments for Kane and Paul Bearer. This would be the debut of Kane's second mask, the debut Mark II mask, the difference being the mask being generally smaller than the Mark I mask. The forehead frown crease is more curved, differently shaped eye holes, a wider mouth hole, and the black claw mark stripes being slightly different. Kane would use this mask as well as the debut Mark I mask on a number of occasions. Kane would go on to not only continue his path of destruction, but to terrorize The Undertaker on a number of occasions. One occasion being costing his brother a match against Jeff Jarrett at D-Generation X in your house. But The Undertaker would continue to live up to his promise. On the final episode of Raw of 1997, Kane would be called out by a number of superstars that Kane had attacked in the past, to which not only Kane appeared to answer the call, but The Undertaker to come out next. As assumed that Undertaker would join the angry mob in attacking Kane, the brothers instead fought off the group. Undertaker would leave the ring and spoke to Kane, "I will burn in hell before I fight you." And that was our look at 1997 for Kane. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as I did making it. On the next episode, we'll be looking at 1998 for the Big Red Machine. From his feud with The Undertaker, winning the WWE Championship and the Tag Team Championship, and the formation of the Brothers of Destruction. Thanks again, and see you next time.